Hi, Julie Cielo here, health and lifestyle advisor and creator of Rhythm Lifestyle Program. Today I'm here with Leslie McGuirk, friend and astrologer and creator of luckystars.astrology.com. Super excited to be here with you, Leslie, in Vero Beach, Florida. Full moon last night, lots of really great energy, and it's always amazing energy to be with you. So today I wanted to ask you a question that I know that my viewers are really interested in hearing about, which is, how do the sun, the moon, and the stars, cycles of the universe, affect our mind, body, and spirit?
Well, a lot of people think that astrology is fortune telling, but it's actually incredibly scientific, based on those planets that are out there floating in space that have an effect on our bodies. So if you just look at even the moon, which is a rock floating in space, it has complete control over every body of water on planet Earth, and we're about like 80–90% water. So when it's a full moon, it pulls on us as it does every body of water on the planet. So there is this correlation between as above, so below, and every one of the planets, whether it's the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, they all have a correlation with some part of our system. So whether it's love and romance or communication, and this is an incredibly accurate scientific imprinting system. That's what astrology is. So I look at it, when I'm looking at a chart, it's as if I'm reading music. And you never know whether or not someone's going to play the music really well, like banging on the piano, or they're going to do it very elegantly. So we all have free will about how we play our wiring system. But the wiring system is determined by what was above our head at the moment of birth. So all those planets, sun, moon, all of them, they're all sort of doing their little cosmic dance, which explains how we are set up.
It sounds like you do something very similar to what I do in my practice, which is determining somebody's individual personal constitution and how their individuality is being reflected in nature, and how nature is reflecting that individuality back at them, right?
Right, exactly.
So what do you call that? I call that sort of like, you know, what element that they fall into. You know, are they more air, are they more earth, or are they more fire, or a combination of those things?
Same thing in astrology. We have,
what do you call it?
Well, there's fire, earth, air, and water, and a lot of people have a little bit of everything, and some people have an imbalance. They're totally missing an element. Like myself, I don't have any air in my chart at all. So someone could say, oh, that's a terrible thing. Well, it's also a really good thing. Einstein and Thomas Jefferson didn't have any air. So it rules the intellect, but even though you're missing it, it almost means as if you've done it really well. And now in this lifetime, it's not as much of an issue, but you do have to be careful physically of imbalances. Like I don't breathe really well. So
I find that to be really interesting, because in Ayurveda, the air element does represent the intellect.
Same as in astrology.
So if you're lacking air,
yes.
That's really interesting, because people that have too much air tend to be really analytical in Ayurveda.
Right.
So
it's the same.
It certainly sounds like they're bouncing off of one another, and I find it to be completely fascinating.
Well, it's unbelievably scientific. If I have the right birth time and place of birth and date, the wiring system is 95% accurate, but the difference is I can't tell how they will operate their wiring system. So it's like a car. You'd have two Mercedes sports cars, and they were born the same day, same time, but the person who's driving is going to do something different. Even though it's the exact same vehicle, you never know at the end of 10 years what those two cars will look like, because we have control over our imprinting system. But so an astrologer, or like what you do with your clients, you're trying to figure out the best way to operate your vehicle. Your body is a vehicle, and your chart is like the owner's manual for your vehicle.
Yeah, customization.
Customization. And what I love is just trying to help people figure out the best way to be what they are. And we all have difficulties. We all have beautiful things. And it's just like music, you know. We just have to play the best song we can with what we're given.
So do you recommend to your clients that you see that they figure out how to customize not only their understanding of how they show up in the world, but also with their diet and with their movement and with the way that they think?
Absolutely.
And all those things are really important. And the chart, it sounds like the natal chart is what you call it, right?
Yes.
Is a very important aspect in decision making.
Completely, because if you do have an imbalance, it means you have to add that element into your life with intention. So for me, not having any air, going to yoga is really important, breathing. And I'm a swimmer, so if I don't turn my head, I'm going to die, because you know you have to turn your head to get oxygen. But people who don't have earth, I tell them they need to get a pet, because a pet is very earthy, and cooking is really good. Touching vegetables or meat.
I remember you told me that.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, that's not a problem. Considering food pretty much rules my life.
And also, I said you were low in earth, so everything you do is with the body.
Yeah.
Bodies are earth. That's what
we tend to gravitate towards what we need. Right?
Exactly. Look at me, no air, and I study astrology, which is all about everything in space, air.
Right.
So just because you have an imbalance doesn't mean that it's a negative. It's just you have to work with it so you don't get lopsided.
Tell me how people can find you and discover what their own personal natal chart is. And
they can just go to luckystars.astrology.com.
Awesome.
And on there you can click on private readings and send me an email. And it's a really useful tool. And when you get a good astrologer who can figure out your wiring system, it can save you a lot of money and time. That's really good.
I am super excited about giving my viewers another element of how they can discover more about how they're individual, but also how that diversity is a part of how they reflect themselves in nature, customization of how to live more skillfully, mind, body, and spirit. So, Lucky Stars Astrology, thank you so much,
Julie.
Leslie.
It's always great to see you.